Hi class, so I'm just going to do a quick review with you here that goes through the problems that you'll see on your practice quiz, which is the exact same formatting as your quiz, just like always. Not only am I going to go through and review, but I'm literally going through the exact same quiz that you'll see. So I have this pulled up on the student view side. So right, the questions are different, but the exact same order and formatting. So just keep that in mind. You can use this to help you as you go through the review and as well as when you take the quiz tomorrow. So for the first problem, it's asking us to find slope between 2 points. Remember, if we want to find slope between 2 points, we are going to use rise over run. So we're always counting our up and down and our right and left. So we can choose whichever point we would like to start at. And then we are going to count, so let's say I start over here. We're going to count how many we have to go up or down to get to the other point. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, keep in mind, whenever we are counting, if we ever go down or if we go left, we have to make the number negative. So for the 3, we went down, so that becomes a negative. But for the 4, we went right, so that stays a positive. So we'll have a negative 3 over 4, and that's what we would type in for our answer. Number 2 is asking us to find the slope between 2 points. So remember, if we want to find the slope between 2 points, our formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where every ordered pair is an x comma y. And we have a first set and we have a second set. Okay, so if we're looking at this, our y2, right, is going to be negative 9. Then I'm using the subtraction from the formula. And I'm going to put in my y1, which is negative 3. So this first sign here is from the formula, and that the 3 is negative, over my x2, which is 8, minus my x1, which is negative 4. And you can use a calculator or use adding the opposite or whatever you want to use to get these combined. So negative 9 minus negative 3 is negative 6, and 8 minus negative 4 is positive 12. Remember, slope always has to be in reduced improper fraction form. So you could either put negative 6 ABC 12 into your calculator and have it reduce it for you, or just know that they're both divisible by 6. And so our reduced answer would be negative 1/2. Number 3. Okay, number 3 is asking you to graph a line given this information. So it tells us that we have a slope or an m of 3, and a y-intercept or a b of negative 2. So slope we always want to be in fraction form. Remember, when we graph, we're going to plot our point, or in this case, y-intercept first. So I want to go on my y-axis and make a point at negative 2. Okay, and then for my slope, I'm going to go up 3, right 1. Remember, I'm counting from that point. So from this point I have right now, I'm going to go up 3 over 1 and make my second point. And then from that, I can just use my line tool in there to connect those and make my line. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is asking us just to find the slope and the y-intercept. So remember, this is y equals mx plus b form. So the number in front of the x is our slope. So that's going to be 8. And the number by itself or without the x is going to be the b. Remember, that sign counts. So our y-intercept would be negative 4. Okay, number 5. Okay, 5 is asking us to now do this in reverse order. So instead of us finding the m and the b, it's giving it to us and it wants us to write the equation. So again, this says our slope is negative 7. We know that slope is m, and our y-intercept is positive 7. Right, so it's y equals mx plus b form. So we'll put negative 7 in for m, and we will put 7 in for b. You have to make sure it's asking for an equation, so make sure you have that y equals with it. So we'll have y equals negative 7x plus 7. And next, problem number 6. Okay, this one's asking us to find our x and our y-intercept. So remember, when we're finding our x and y intercept, that's when we want to sort of cover up and divide. We're sort of ignoring the letter that we don't want to look at. So this isn't going to perfectly cover it up, but it will at least visually give us the idea of what we're talking about. Okay, so if we want to find the x-intercept, all of this stuff that's now in orange, we are going to ignore. So the only thing that we're going to look at is the 3x equals 24. And that's something that we know how to solve. And we get x equals 8. So this tells us that our x-intercept is going to be 8. And then we'll just flip-flop that, right? And so now we'll cover the stuff in orange. So for our y-intercept, we're ignoring the x. And when we ignore the x, that leaves us with a negative 4y equals 24. Right? Remember, this sign is telling us what the 4 is. So we have to keep that negative with it. And when we solve that, we will get y equals negative 6. So we'll just put in that our x is 8 and that our y is negative 6. So let's take a look at number 7. Number 7 is asking us to graph once we've already found those. So let's say we found that our y-intercept is negative 5 and our x-intercept is 4. Remember, intercepts are things that we put on the x and y axis. This even has those labeled for us, right? It's telling us what the x and y are. Okay, so it says on the y-axis, we want to be at negative 5. So we'll make a point there. And on the x-axis, we want to be at positive 4. Okay, and then once we make those points, right, we'll just make the line going through it. And that's all we need to do for that. Number 8 is going to be point slope form. So remember, point slope form, there are two things we can find. We can find the slope, which is our m. And our m is always sitting in front of the parentheses. So our m is going to be negative 4/3. The other thing that we can find is an ordered pair, or an x comma y. Remember, our x is always sitting with our x, and our y is always sitting with our y. So this is going first. Whatever it looks like, we want to take the opposite sign of it. So it looks like a negative 5, so I'm going to put a positive 5. Okay, and the same thing with my y. So it looks like a negative 4, so I'm going to put a positive 4. Okay, so then I'm just going to plot the point. We always start with the point first. So I'm going to plot the point 5, comma 4. Okay, and then I need to do a slope that says to go down 4 because it's negative. So I'm going to go down 4 and then right 3. I'm counting from my pencil point that's already there. So I'm going to go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and right 3. And there's my next point. Those 2 points are enough to give me my line. Okay, so I'm just putting that line in there and we're done there. Last problem that we are going to look at is going to ask us to graph an inequality. So when we're graphing an inequality, we're really still sticking to our y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we're going to find our m and we're going to find our b, right? M is always what's in front of the x, so it's a negative 5. Our b is what's not with the x, so that's our negative 4. Okay, we always want our slope to be a fraction, so we're just going to make that a negative 5 over 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is make my point at negative 4 because we always start with our point first, right? B is my y-intercept, so it has to go on my y-axis. Okay, then I'm going to do my slope. So from there, I need to go down 5, right 1. So I need to actually move my screen to give me a little bit more space here. So from this point, I'm going to go down 5, right 1. So there's my second point. Okay, so now I can put my line in here. Then we need to look at the inequality and consider our rules. So remember, when we have an inequality with this solid line, the or equal to underneath it, we want a solid line when we graph it. Okay, if it just had greater than, then we'd need to use this tool right here and change this into a dash line. Okay, and then greater than tells us to shade above. So we're going to click our shading tool. Oops, wrong button. We're going to click our shading tool. And we're just going to click that we want to shade on this upper side. And then we just leave it as that. Okay, so you're going to go through and do this on your own. You're going to complete the assignment. It's in Alex. It's called Tuesday 4-8 Quiz 3 Practice. Feel free to email me or schedule an appointment on my calendar, which is on the homepage, if you have any questions or anything extra that you would like to look over together. Have a great day.